Hi there. It's your second favorite DP right here, okay? No, that's Deadpool, you silly little Hufflepuff. Anyways, I'm gonna need you to shut up that pretty little mouth of yours and pay attention because the show's about to start, alright? And, I don't know about you, but I know who's my vote for sexiest ex-soldier turned pop culture show host. Alright, enough foreplay. Let's get on with the show.
Every week's an epic feat. They shed light on what's the trend. When will the madness ever end? From movies to the latest shows, you never know how far they'll go. Come aboard and take the ride. Let's uncover what's inside. Warriors of the night, here to fight. Pop culture explodes.
Hey, everybody! Welcome, one and all. Today is October 28th, 2025, and this is episode 220 of Pop Culture Warrior, or Spooktacular Season 3? I don't know. I've lost count of how many Spooktacular episodes we've done, but it's definitely been a few. I'm not CQ. I'm Peacemaker, and I will kill any motherfucker, man, woman, or child, in the name of peace. I should have known the quote a lot better. That would have been funnier. Welcome to Pop Culture Warrior. And it's the show before Halloween, so I thought I'd spice it up for the occasion. Uh, but I can't do this alone. I can't. It behooves me not to do this alone. And we have a special guest commentator, co-host extraordinaire joining us tonight. It is his first time here. So please be gentle. Please. He's a virgin, okay? He's a virgin. Be nice. But you've seen him on FTX. You've seen him around the other shows of WTF Nation Radio. You've seen him on the socials. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put a name to that face and a face to that name. Put your hands down your pants and welcome our co-host of the evening, Mr. K. Mill. Woo!
I'm Prison Mike.
Oh, sorry. Not K Mill. It's Prison Mike. What up, Prison Mike?
Not much. What's going on, man? I figured if you couldn't get Mad Mike tonight, why not get Prison Mike?
There you go.
Right before Halloween, huh?
There you go. We appreciate you joining us tonight. You like I said, you've hung out with us for FTX, and you've been around the horn here at WTF Nation Radio for quite a bit. And damn, this fucking mask is just the shits. It's just doesn't want to sit properly. I don't have a big dome like John Cena. Anyway,
I can't see out
welcome.
this fucking thing.
Yeah, I can't see out this fucking thing. I have no turning radius. No. How you doing, man? What's good? Let's take a beat to introduce you, right? Let the audience know a little bit about you. Give us a little something. You know, I mean, obviously we got to keep some things, OPSEC and whatnot. But let the audience know a little bit about you.
My name's K Mill. I grew up in Florida. I like long walks on the beach. And my never mind. No, K Mill. I've hung around the PCW and the WTF page for years. I mean, I think I even got a few pictures posted on WTF Moments back when, like 10 years ago, when the page was still new and rocking and rolling. So, but 5.5 years active duty Army, 2 years with the National Guard, and now I'm floating around in the defense contractor space. So.
Oh, the hush hush. She's working with them 3-letter acronyms and things. Oh, we don't want nobody knowing about all that. He's a contractor, guys. He's a contractor. He licenses farming equipment, in other countries. Anyway. Yeah, man, dude, it's our, I guess, Halloween-esque episode. I know it's the episode before Halloween. We have a phenomenal guest joining us in the second hour. It was pre-recorded, and he was bummed to pre-record it because he really wanted to do it live. But when I tell you he's literally leaving today to go to Europe for a tour, for a musical tour, his band's on tour. We had to get him while we could. So we got him last night. It's literally recorded last night, and we're going to air that for you tonight. It's a phenomenal interview with Alan Robert. You might not know the name, familiar with the name, but he is one of the founding members of the, what's it called? Life of Agony, I think it was the name of the band, which is from 30 years ago, but they're still doing music. And he's also huge in, he has published works with IDW. He's a phenomenal artist. He's a musician. He's done illustrations. Have you seen the adult coloring books? And I don't mean that as in the X-rated sense. I mean that in they have horror themed coloring books of Michael Myers and The Conjuring and all this stuff. He started that. He started that. Cool. He released a book, it was 10 years ago, called The Beauty of Horror, I think it was. And that kind of launched this whole genre of adult-themed coloring books. And so he's going to be, the interview is phenomenal. I can tell you that much because, I was there. And it was amazing, as always. I did such a great job. I'm so good. Yeah.
So everybody on the spectrum has him to thank for those.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And he's a phenomenal dude, just a great dude, wealth of information, amazing stories. I think everyone's gonna really enjoy that interview coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern. But for now, uh, what's going on with you? Which, by the way, anyway, guys in the chats, if there's news stories or things that you want to talk about, by all means, let us know in the chats. What are the stuff that we should be talking about? Because we got a couple headlines we're going to cover, but as always, I like to give the audience an opportunity to share what they want to talk about. But for me, I've got to start with one thing. Last week, I think I showed off. I have the Xbox Rogue Ally, the handheld Xbox device, the cheaper of the two versions. And when I had showed it off, I barely had any time to do anything other than set it up. This past weekend, I did an 8-hour round trip down to the Virginia Beach area and then back. And I was a passenger. And so I was able to really put it through its paces, and I thought I'd just report back a little bit about my experience. So just high level real quick is battery life. I still haven't charged it from before I left. So tons of battery life. I definitely wasn't playing it like 8 hours straight, but it was like an hour or two here, an hour or two there with little breaks in between. It didn't overheat in my hands. That was a big concern of mine, was that like it would get real hot. Never overheated. I got about the same hand sweatiness as when I'm usually playing Xbox. So nothing different there. It is a PC in your hands. So there were some games that I played. Obviously, the lower graphical intensity the game, the better. Obviously, I was playing things like Dead Souls and Solitaire and Minecraft, and they work phenomenally well. When I started bumping up, I was playing the casting of Frank Stone, which is a spinoff of the Walking Dead, or not Walking Dead, Dead by Daylight series. It's a like choose your own adventure style game. I had to put it on the lowest possible graphical intensity so that it would play a little smoother, because at like the higher end, it was definitely a little choppy, a little clippy. But once I lowered it down, yeah, it didn't look the prettiest, but it played a lot smoother. And I was able to play it, without really any irritation, other than like it could be a little pixelated, at times. Other than that, the biggest issue I have with it at the moment would be the gaming catalog, because obviously, it can't play every game. It can't. It just can't. But it does seem oddly, like, I don't know what the reasons why some games you can play and some games you can't. The other thing is, some games you can download and install right onto the handheld, so I'm able to play on the road. Whereas some games you can play them, so I'm thinking like an Assassin's Creed, you can play it, but you have to stream it online, and so you need to be on a Wi-Fi network in order to have the connection that allows you to play it. And obviously, the better the connection, the better the game. Worse connection, it can be a little dicey. But yeah, so it was, and you would like, there's certain games where I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense because it's a smaller game. It downloads easily. But then there was like some big games that you could download. But then there were like smaller games where you had to be connected to the online cloud. And then some games that didn't matter, you couldn't online cloud even if you owned it. And it's just, I think it needs time. I think it needs time for the catalog to really develop and what games will work for it. But yeah, that's just a quick down and dirty. I'm happy with it. Overall, I am happy with it. It's so cool to be able to play some of my Xbox games and then just through a push of a button, now I'm on Steam and I'm playing some of my Steam catalog, my PC games. So that's just really cool to have in that handheld device. And yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it so far, and I think and I hope that over time it's gonna get better. So we'll see. We'll see. But
You said you got like the base model.
yeah, yep. I've the Rogue Ally, and then the Rogue Ally X is the one that's like the top tier $1,000 one. Yeah.
So like that's probably one that's got what, more storage and a better.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest differences are slightly better processor,
Okay.
slightly better RAM, double the storage. So
Okay.
that's really what it boils down to is you're paying an extra $400 for double the storage, which I still have. Dude, I've downloaded like 40 something things and I still haven't run out of storage yet. And then, yeah, you know, again, slightly, but it's like the difference of like an, let's say like an iPhone and an iPhone Pro, you know what I mean? Where it's like slightly better in all of the characteristics, better, a slightly better battery, slightly better memory, slightly better processor, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, for me,
What's
it
the
wasn't worth the $400.
What's the interface? Is it like Windows or?
So that's the interesting thing, man. It boots up straight into its Xbox UI.
Okay, so it's actual
like,
UX.
yeah,
Xbox.
yeah. So it is an official Xbox device with its own special. Like if you've played Xbox, you know the UI and what it looks like. It boots right into that. Now, quick push of a button, you can jump into the Windows desktop. And so it looks like a regular Windows desktop with the, you know, the trash can and all the little shits. But it is cool that it boots straight up into the Xbox UI. So like, because obviously it's an Xbox device, quote unquote. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Which makes me think about one of the other topics coming in 2027.
Yes, yes. Let's talk about it, man. That is a great segue. Good job. See, I knew I got the right guy for the job. So, latest reports are that Microsoft is about to revolutionize gaming with what they're calling, well, insiders are calling a new Xbox PC hybrid. It'll be part console, part powerhouse PC, currently projected for 2027. It will have PC-like architecture, so the console will be built on custom AMD chips using technology that's found in our modern PCs with a custom Zen 6 or Zen 6C CPU and an RDNA 5 GPU. There'll be Windows 11 integration, so it'll have very much that, you know, usual PC interface, as well as all of the Xbox amenities. Again, I think this Xbox handheld is a very kind of early prototype of that future for Xbox, where the console version will just be like a souped up PC / Xbox console. Let's see what else they say. The hybrid functionality device will be able to, a hybrid console PC able to run both native PC games and existing Xbox console games. They're saying third-party OEM device, no, that's possible in 2026, but this next generation console is slated for 2027. Now, the biggest thing is the projected cost, which they're saying, and it's going to sound shocking at first, but bear with me. They're saying it's going to be between $1,000 and $2,000 for this console, which seems insane.
Well, I mean, it's a gaming PC. I mean,
That's exactly it. That's anybody for those that have only been on console, you'll be like, that's insane. For those that have built PCs, you know, like, it's actually a pretty decent price. That's actually not bad. You know, it has its own box and it has all this stuff. And, you know, modern PCs, if you want to be, we're not even talking top tier. We're not even talking like next gen PCs. Just your basic modern, up to date, slight, maybe a little bit of a powerhouse is going to run you 2 to 4K minimum for PC standards. You know, if you're going next gen and super future proof, you're in the 8 to 10 range. So again, you know, it's, if there are things about it I like, right? The idea that it's going to be utilizing like modern PC chips, which, do you think that means it's going to be huge? Do you think it's going to be like, if they're putting modern GPUs and modern CPUs in there, like it's gonna be big.
Well, I'm curious if they're going to be using any kind of their previous like Razer, was it the Razer model where they take a
Mm.
little bit of a hit, on the console itself and make all the money, profits back on the game. So, which makes me wonder if they're going to be still kind of following that
Hmm.
and using like high-end miniaturized GPUs and other things like that to make it manageable. So you don't have like, because you're not going to. I don't think you can see too many parents wanting anything bigger than like what the PS5s are sitting on their, entertainment centers. Like, I'm sure
Hmm.
there's like if I was a parent and I walked by and saw like a gaming PC like this sitting on their entertainment center, they're like, no, this is not going to work.
I mean, that's yeah. I don't know. I don't know. The question from Anubis is, can it be upgraded like a PC? And I think that could be a
Yeah,
make or break point for them. That could be a make or break point because if it's like, no, it's sold as is, you won't be able to upgrade it. Like that's the genius of having a customized PC, a hand built PC, is that you're putting in the pieces that you want. Um, but I don't know. I don't know how they could.
you
How do
can't.
they
I
do
don't
that?
think you could have too much disparity in performance wise on that, because then you're gonna have to worry about, is this game gonna play like crap if I don't upgrade this or whatever. I don't know. That's just me. Like
Yeah,
the developers are probably gonna need like a little bit of parity across the consoles, and not have to like account for crap graphics on one, for one user or whatever, because some of
yeah,
these modern games, if you're able to up the graphics, like there's some noticeable details that, like, just even playing like Borderlands from, I don't know, like Borderlands 2, you play that and you up the graphics to the maximum, there's a ton of extra detail you don't even realize is there if you're playing on
yeah.
crap graphics. So I don't know, that's just me spitballing.
What if? Because I'm trying to think from a business standpoint, how do you make that work? Where it's like, oh yeah, it's completely open to modding and customizing. I'm like, but there's going to be a certain form factor, so you have to worry about sizing and inputs, and there'll be certain chips that don't want to work with other chips and power, and so like, but what if this? Here's my pitch. Tell me what you think. You make it like the Fisher House, my very first PC kind of thing, where they will give you options that you would buy from their store. So like they might have 6 different GPUs and 6 different CPUs and 3 different power, you know what I mean? Where like it's an in-house shop that lets you customize it at your level. So like minimum viable specs, maybe it's $1,000 for like what their lowest offerings are. But if you're a guy that's like, yeah, man, I want fucking the best of the best, you're dropping 2,000 and you're getting the top tier of all the different components.
I mean, at that point, I feel like you're just not even in the console game anymore. Like, because that was the point of the consoles, is like it's a pretty similar experience from one console to the next. And
True.
now, like from a support standpoint, like if I was working on their support, like their end user support, I just see that as being a headache. You're like, oh, this guy's got this mod, this mod, this mod, and then they figure out, this game doesn't work with this processor or this model, then they're going to have bug reports and all this other stuff. And to me, it just sounds like a support nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really curious to see how they pull this off. But it's something that, if you've watched this show long enough, you've heard me talk about it for sure. I think they're moving further and further away from just the typical standalone console to this kind of ecosystem, making Xbox a thing that lives outside of a device, right? Because you can now access it from the handheld. You can now access it from the console. You can access it from your PC. You can access it from the cloud. Pretty soon, I'm sure there'll be an Xbox app that you can download on your PlayStation, and you can be playing your Xbox games on PlayStation through their Xbox app. So I think it makes sense that they're bridging that gap But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that my prediction is that this might be the very last console-ish kind of thing we get. And that post that, they really try to get out of the hardware game, because that's what we've always said. Microsoft wasn't a hardware company. They've always been a software company. And every time they've tried to do hardware, they failed. Looking at you, Zune, Zune player. So, or the Microsoft phones. Ugh. So, Xbox.
I heard a good thing about the Zunes.
Yeah. If
I
you ask
never had
Peter
one.
Quill on Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe. That's a just terrible joke. But, I think Xbox has been their only really successful hardware device. And then, again, successful, being in quotes, because some generations they claim they won and some generations they lost, and it's a whole thing. But I don't know. I've never been one for the console race war. I think it's been silly and moot and dumb. But yeah. Anyway. Sorry, I'm reading the chats. You guys are funny. Hey, Brady. So yeah. So I mean, I'm curious. I'm really curious.
I think the other big part of the story is I read supposedly they're getting rid of the $60 annual fee.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not see
supposedly.
that part. Supposedly.
At least that's what it
interesting.
said on Yahoo Tech from what I was reading earlier.
Yeah. I definitely, I think they want to get away from the pay to play online model, which is what PlayStation is. I definitely think they're going to continue with the game subscription service model, where you can pay for different tiers of the amount of games you get. But I definitely think they're going to get rid of, if you don't pay, you can't play online, because you're talking about building a whole online ecosystem, but you can't access any of it unless you pay. And it's that's the barrier for entry for some people. So, I think it makes sense for them to make their, go back to the old days of where Xbox Online was always free from day one. You just paid for different perks and things like that and access to certain things, but the online play itself was not something you paid for. But I don't know. That's just me. What else we got? There are lots of things to talk about. What is that one story I wanted? Go ahead. You got some?
I was gonna say, I mean, the thing that popped up for that I saw today, then I'm not surprised. Disney is picked the new live action.
Yes.
So Tangled
Tangled.
is next up on deck for the live action treatment.
Yes.
So
How do we feel about that? Because I'm of all the properties, personally, I think that's the one that makes the most sense. Because you're not going to do Bambi live action. You're not going to do.
oh, that would be awesome. Kids getting to see a deer get shot in live action.
Mom. I mean, because look, they did, what was it? They did Dumbo, they did Beauty and the Beast, they did Aladdin, they did Little Mermaid, Snow White. I think there was a Cinderella live action, I think. Lion King, they did a live action Lion King and Jungle Book. It makes sense. Because I'm trying to think what other.
And did you say Moana?
Oh, the Moana. That's right. Moana got its own. Well, it's in development or it's in production, but
yeah.
But yeah, it kind of makes sense, from. I don't know. I'm torn on the whole live action adaptation thing because one, it's like the animated versions are classics for a reason, and they're done a specific way. And when you do the live actions, you go one of two routes. You go super religious to the original source material, where you don't change a thing, you're just making it live action. And then there's the other route where you're like, well, We got to make it modern. We got to make it, inclusive, and we got to do all this and all that and dance around all these things, you know, and
Hire an actress that nobody likes.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think I think we've seen where audiences kind of fall on creative retellings and reimaginings because the Snow White wasn't very good. The Little Mermaid didn't do very well. The ones that seem to me as an outsider, the ones that seem to do better are ones that are a little closer to the adaptation source. Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, like even Milan, I thought for that story, as much as I love the animated version, they definitely didn't make that. They made a Milan story that was as far removed from the animated source material. Like it just shares the name. Like that's about it. Everything else is pretty much completely it's like just the synopsis is the same, right? Chick fights in war as man. That's about as much as was taken from the source material. But traditionally speaking, I think the further they stray, not a lot of people like it. But I don't know, man. I go back and forth, and here's why. Here's my thing. For us, it's like that ain't my Mulan, right? Like that ain't my Lion King. That ain't my thing. But there are so many, I look at my son who hasn't seen a lot of the classics that I grew up on because to them, they're like, might as well be dinosaur documentaries. They don't care. And so if that's an opportunity for them to get the story and be interested and be hooked into that world, that maybe then it could lead to them watching the original stuff. I don't know. Maybe. I've tried to sit my kid down and watch like the Lion King, like the OG Lion King and things like that. And he's just not into it. But then if I put on just the other day, we put on the live action Jungle Book from Jon Favreau's Jungle Book. And he sat and watched the whole thing. And I was like, what? Like what, dude, this ain't even it, bro. This ain't even it. This ain't the OG. This ain't the thing that really slaps. Hey, Sports Bar, what's up, man? Happy Halloween to you. But I don't know, man. If I asked you, K-Mill, what is the best animated or live action adaptation of an animated show or movie or whatever? I mean, what's your jump to answer?
Oh man, I don't know. I recently, like, what was it? A couple months ago, I was hanging out with a friend with their 4-year-old, and they were watching like every live action version of recent Disney movies, and I think I really what's weird is I really like the storyline of the one with where it was like the prequel from Mufasa.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That's interesting.
So,
That's interesting.
but no, I can't say. I mean, I don't have a kids, so I can't say that I've been watching a lot of them. But I was gonna say I'm curious for Tangled who they're gonna have play. What's the main character's name in that movie?
That's Rapunzel.
Rapunzel, yeah.
Yeah.
How much you want to bet they're like throwing Sydney Sweeney up on the board right now?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because you got to try to hook, like that's got to be the hook, right? Is who are you going to see play this character? I think wasn't like Ryder the guy in the movie. I think he was based on like what's his name? The dude from Shazam. God, I forgot his name now. Crap. Damn it. Oh, I can't think. I'm drawing a blank. But that guy, you know who I'm talking about. White dude. Doofy looking dude. I swear he was
from Chuck.
Yes, from Chuck and Shazam and the purple crayon. That classics. I don't know. I think Matt Sweeney, yes, please. You don't like my mask? What are you talking about? My mask is awesome. I'm Peacemaker.
Zachary Levi.
Zachary Levi. That's right. Zachary Levi, that guy. But yeah, I don't know. I can't picture anyone. Although, go with me on this one. In that movie, you've got like the evil stepmother kind of character that keeps her locked in the tower, who's kind of a witch, I think, kind of not. I don't remember. I would love to see Aubrey Plaza play that
Oh,
character, right?
oh,
The
yeah.
play because she can play the silly, but she can play the very like scary and dry and like mother knows best kind of character. I think that she would
I would
kill
go.
in that.
I would go see that in theater for her.
Yeah, man. Love me some Aubrey Plaza. Oh, so you said Florence Pugh or Sabrina Carpenter for the character of Rapunzel. I I don't think Florence. Look, and I love Florence Pugh. I love her. She is literally on my like top list right now. I don't know if she'd be right for Rapunzel though. Um, I feel like it needs a little more bubbly than and Florence is a phenomenal actress. I don't see the bubbly kind of, cheerful like I'm thinking like a young who would be like to really capture that kind of innocent, kind of sweet. Um you don't want him to be too sexualized, like too like you want someone who can really pull off the kind of like the innocence because the whole character is meant to be very naive but fierce. And so I don't know, like a young Amy Poehler, I think could have pulled it off really well. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like much younger. She's past Rapunzel age, but I think just that natural softness while still having just a little bit of fortitude and grit. I think uh, Scarlett Johansson. I mean, yeah, 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 yeah. I give Scar Joe could probably pull off the evil stepmom thing too. I think she could do it. Sophie Turner. Oh. I don't like honestly, I don't like her acting. I'm not a big Sophie Turner fan. I'm sure she's a lovely person, but just the acting just doesn't do it for me. Doesn't turn the key. I don't know. I don't know. In other good
oh,
news, oh, go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I got a good answer for your
Oh,
question
gimme,
earlier.
gimme, gimme, gimme.
My favorite live action was the Cruella. It's not really a remake so much,
Ooh, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, 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 yeah,
with Emma
yeah.
Stone, I mean, I love that one.
Yeah, I could see that. Did they do a sequel, or they were talking about a sequel? I don't remember. Remember they were
Maybe.
talking about a sequel. I don't know if they ever did it or not, but no, I could see that. It was. It's you're right. It's not necessarily a adaptation because it's in the world of the 101 Dalmatians, although it's not about
Mhm.
that story. It's about that. But it falls in line of what Disney was doing with like Maleficent and some of these other stories. Uh, uh, where the the villain of one turns out to be kind of this anti-hero of
Right.
another kind of thing. I'm waiting for the Ursula, remake where it turns out she wasn't a bad guy at all. She was just misunderstood. Like, dude, you can't. There's something that man, I'm turning into an old man. I really am because I'm like, you don't
She
gotta
was
go and do that. You don't got to.
she wasn't a villain. She just had Tourette's.
like you turn like Cruella was a villain.
Mm.
She was a dog murdering psychopath. I still
Yeah,
have it burned into my brain with her in like the what was it
and
the
not
coupe the
yeah,
vehicle with her hair all like and her eyes
and not even
roll.
just dogs. Like she was killing puppies.
Yeah, man. God, she was, and then they're like, nah, she was just a fashion designer. She was misunderstood, it was all an act, and or Maleficent, like, oh, it turns out she was actually the good guy the whole time, and it's like, don't think so. I don't remember. I remember her being a dragon and fighting a prince. I mean, anyway, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. What up, Tab? Here, B. How you doing? Scarlett Johansson is in talks to play Mother Gothel. All right. Well, shit. All right. Don't give me too much. But yeah. So, in other good news, I don't know. Are you a big Dexter fan? You ever get into the Dexter series?
I was up until the last season.
Yeah. On the positive, like, because Dexter was this show that was just on this meteoric rise, and much like Game of Thrones, just kind of shit the bed at the end. It came back for that Dexter. What was the fucking the last one that came out where he was in Antarctica or whatever, Canada, wherever the hell. What was that called? Cold something. I don't.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I forget.
But anyway, warm welcome for Tab. Yes, warm welcome. Obviously, welcome. We appreciate all the love, and I know I look ridiculous. It's for Halloween. Don't judge me. That's not his typical outfit either. You know, he doesn't typically look like Prison Mike. But Dexter Resurrection, which was it's so hard to follow this. It's the original series, follow-up series, the follow-up to the follow-up series, Dexter Resurrection, was a phenomenal hit. They knocked it out of park and has officially been renewed for a season 2. So you've got 8 seasons of the original Dexter, or 7 seasons of the original Dexter, followed by the follow-up season that was just 1 season. And now we're on to our 2nd season of Resurrection, while also the spin-off Original Sin, which was the origin story, only lasted 1 season. So yeah. You know.
Now, did that only get 1 season as it was planned, or it just wasn't well received?
So the amount of talent that they threw at that, I assume they thought it was going to be a big hit, really, because you had Sarah Michelle Gellar, you had Christian Slater, you had, Michael C. Hall bringing back the voice, which people assumed, Michael C. Hall was done, other than like the narration, he was kind of done with Dexter. And, what with him dying in his last season, and then this kind of being like, he's, replaying his life in his head as he's dying, basically. I think they thought they were gonna get kind of a young Sheldon, where it was gonna be multiple seasons of this character, and I think it's never going to work where if you say, hey, it would be as if the Big Bang Theory were still on and they were trying to launch young Sheldon at the same time. I don't think one can survive the other, right? Because one is going to draw the audience. They're going to say, I like more of this than the other. And people like Michael C. Hall. They like his character as Dexter, is playing as Dexter. Once they were both on air at the same time, I knew only one was going to survive. I just knew it. I didn't know which one it would be, but I guess, the people have spoken, and here's my concern. I don't know if you've seen season 1 Resurrection. It's phenomenal. It's really good, but it is heavy with celebrity cameos. So not only do they bring back a lot of there's little flashbacks of like the famous killers that so you had Jonathan Lithgow, you had the Spanish dude that played the fucking DA,
Jimmy Smits.
Jimmy Smits, thank you. Sergeant Dokes, surprise motherfucker, he was in it. So they brought back his dad. Like they brought back a lot of Batista's in it. So they brought back a lot of the original people. But then there was also a lot of celebrity cameos in the sense of like different serial killers. So you had fucking Barney Stinson. He played Barney Stinson. MPH. Neil Patrick Harris. Neil Patrick Harris plays a killer. Kristen Ritter plays a killer. The dude from Modern Family plays a killer. You had Uma Thurman is in it. You have what's little dude from Game of Thrones?
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage is in it. So like you have all the so everybody's like, oh my god, like this is massive amount of
They,
talent,
they
you
threw
know.
everything at that one.
Yeah, and that's my so that's what worries me is because it is the Avengers Endgame, right? Level where it's like, okay, then how do we go back to street level, right? We've raised the stakes so high. How do we surpass that? How do we supersede it? And I think it's honestly what killed Dexter the first go around was that they just built to such a crescendo that after season 4, like you there was just nowhere to go. There's just you can't do any better. So I hope that season 2 is just as good, if not better, than season 1. But that is definitely, it's like I remember seeing Endgame in theaters or Infinity War and Endgame and going like, I feel bad for the next movie that has to come out after this
Yeah.
because it's like how do you live up to that? How do you I don't know. And we're still trying to figure that shit out in theaters. Marvel's still trying to figure out how the fuck we do that again. And it's just doomsday. Just do it worse, do it better or worse, whatever. So yeah, but Dexter season 2, I'm looking forward to it. I think Resurrection was great, and they really brought Dexter back into his own and did right by the character.
I watched the first episode. It was New Blood, right, or something like that. Was that what?
Yeah. Yes.
I watched the first episode, and then it was like, oh, I want to watch the next one, and it was like, you have to subscribe, or this is the end of your preview. I'm like, nah, screw that. Like,
Yeah, unfortunately, man. That's how the subscription work stuff gets you, man. It's like one show that you want to watch, and then you got to get
I
a
want
whole
to.
subscription.
I really want to see what the traffic flow patterns for Pirate Bay and other torrents is looking like in the last couple of years with everything.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't partake, but I do know guys who share certain websites and certain links or share certain keys to certain, services. And so, I mean, I don't know nothing about that. I pay my overlords, the network overlords what monies they want.
I had a boss that was tracking his internet traffic each month, and he was getting like between 5 and 6 terabytes of downloads on his.
God
I was like, what are you doing? He's like, don't ask. All right.
damn. Don't ask. And yeah,
Don't tell me.
we did. They were mentioning in the chats that we played on FTX last Friday, being it spooky season. We played. It's called Last Friday, which is kind of like a knockoff Friday the 13th board game. So you're playing. It's an asymmetrical horror game in that there are camp counselors that are trying to survive, and there's a killer that's trying to kill them. So I played the killer, and all the rest of the crew played the counselors, and it was a good game, man. It came down to the very last move to see who was going to win, because the thing I like about that game is, yes, as the killer you want to kill everybody, but then like as night turns to day, the roles reversed, right? And the counselors can actually go after the killer, and they can try to take him down. And so you're chasing them, and then they're chasing you, and then it gets to the second night, and then you're chasing them, and then finally the big conflict resolution is either you kill what they call the predestined, the person that you have the bloodlust for to win the game, or they can come after you and take you down, or you escape. So there's like multiple ways the game can end. And the counselors cornered me, and on the very last move of the game, they pinned me down and they killed me. So yeah, great. They won. The killer got what he deserved. Whatever. Blah blah blah. But yeah,
I wish I could have made it out there, but
yeah.
when you hit me up, I was like knee deep in motorcycle parts.
Yeah. It was very, very last minute. But in keeping with the horror theme, we found out, and this was posted actually a week or two ago, but it just kind of came across my desk where Robert England, who is famous for really only one thing, like God bless him, he's really only famous for one thing, and that is he played Freddy Krueger, whatever, 37 times, it seems like, throughout the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. He is getting on this Friday, October the 31st at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, he's getting his Walk of Fame star on the
Oh wow.
infamous Hollywood Walk of Fame. Um, I want. While I do think Freddy Krueger is a horror legend and a pop culture icon, right? You see a glove with blades, you immediately think Freddy Krueger, if you're not thinking Wolverine. But do you think, and I don't mean this to disparage the guy, but do you think a person who really is only known for one role is deserving of a Hollywood Walk of Fame star?
I'm pretty sure there's people that have contributed less to Hollywood and the entertainment industry. And you got to remember, you actually pay for that star.
That's right.
So I think he's enough in the zeitgeist of American entertainment to, you know, he's a pretty prolific character, you know. And what's funny is I think I read that he was a classically trained actor too.
Yep. Yep. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at our friend Robert England and see.
And then he's supposed to be up in season 4 of Stranger Things.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
At this point, that show has had everybody guest star at one point or another.
No.
So, as an actor, he has 175 credits. A lot of voice work. He's done a lot of voice work, including the voice of Jeff Bezos in one thing. Yeah, Stranger Things, Victor Creel. He did an episode in 2022. I mean, he has done a lot. Well, he did. Funny enough, he did a lot of animation. He did voices for like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Hulk and the Agents of Smash. Surprise, Green Lantern.
Well, he's got the personality and the charisma for like being like a character actor. You know, he's up there with like Alan Tudyk or who did this the C3PO voice.
Oh yeah. Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. Crap. Anthony Davis, was it? No. Daniels, maybe.
Yeah.
He did the voice of Dormammu for the Superhero Squad.
Oh,
He
nice.
played the Vulture in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. So, you know, yeah, I take it back. I take it back that he outside. Let's say this. Outside of playing Freddy Krueger, it's a lot of guest spots, you know, definitely like one episode here, 2 episodes there, a lot of voice stuff. I'm trying to see like what would have been his big work outside of that character. So 8 episodes in a cartoon series, the regular show, he did voices, couple, you know, B movies, 4 episodes of Spectacular Spider-Man as the Vulture. But really outside of that, yeah, it's just a couple things in there. 44 episodes of Freddy's Nightmares, which was a TV series in the late 80s. 14 episodes of Downtown. That's probably his biggest role. From 1986 to 1987, he played Dennis Schottifer. 14 episodes on the series Downtown. But, 19 episodes of the show V, the original, the 1984 show V. He did 19 episodes of that. So, I mean, he's been working since 1974. I mean, solidly working. Like his discography, his catalog here is there isn't a year that he hadn't put something on paper as far as work. But eh, I don't know. I don't know. I just that's a that's tough. That's tough. I don't know. I look. I no argument. He is in the Hall of Fame of like horror icons. But I don't know. I feel like you need. Put it this way. Look at someone like what's the dude from Breaking Bad?
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston. Thank you. My God, I'm just having a terrible night of remembering names. Bryan Cranston. Had he only been known for Malcolm in the Middle, right? Phenomenal actor, great casting choice. He'd had spots on Seinfeld and other things and popped up here and there. But I wouldn't say necessarily, it's Hall of Fame career or Hall of Fame, Walk of Fame career. But then adding something like Breaking Bad onto that really says, whoa, look at this guy is a mega star who can carry, different genres and different styles. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little nitpicky, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. It feels weird. It feels weird to me. It feels weird.
I mean, could anybody else do Freddy Krueger like he could though? Is the
That's a good question. Okay.
So
They
I
did
mean,
the
he's
remake.
He's one of the best like horror characters of all time. And could anybody else do it as well as him in that specific role to make it what it is?
They had what's his name who was Rorschach in Watchmen. He played the new Freddy Krueger, which that movie was kind of panned, but I don't think it was because of his version of Freddy Krueger. But I thought he did a good version of it. But I mean, I'm not trying to take nothing from the guy. Congratulations. I will say I agree with your first comment, which is it's a little unfair that in order to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you basically have to petition yourself. You have to raise the money yourself. And then you have to annually upkeep charges to keep the star there. And I think that's just, but that's Hollywood, right? It's all business. It's all business.
What's crazy to me is you have people like, I think it was Julia Roberts and Clint Eastwood who turned it down. Like they were offered,
Yeah.
And I think Jim Carrey turned it down as well. So
Yeah.
I think there's other names as well, but I think I don't know. I think it's just one of to me, it's kind of just like an attraction almost for people in Hollywood.
It is. Yeah. It is absolutely a tourist trap. Fun fact, and it's the only really fun fact I know about this. There's only one star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame that does not appear on the floor. And do you know whose that is?
No.
It is Cassius Clay. Muhammad Ali has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but due to his religious beliefs about how like you can't have people walking over, like basically standing on you and walking over you, he said he wouldn't accept it unless they didn't put it on the floor. And so it's the only star that's actually on a wall just off the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's the only star. So there you go. Very good though. Very good. People are talking about Gary Oldman. Yeah, Gary Oldman's a phenomenal actor. That man is a treasure. Just absolute treasure. All right. Well, We have reached the end of the first hour, and I really want to give time for our phenomenal interview. Um, although I will, there's just one story I just want to touch on real quick, just because it's something that we've mentioned a few times, and I just want to voice my opinion. Not that I have any stake, but Splinter Cell needs to come back. For God's sake, somebody make a fucking Splinter Cell game, because I just miss those kind of games, and they're just not around anymore. Um, like Assassin's Creed's kind of close in the kind of stealth sneaky, but they've even moved way past it. It's mostly action fighting, platforming, puzzle solver now than it was like Splinter Cell was a game built for stealth. It was a stealth based shooter, and I miss it. And it had one of the most unique multiplayer, where it was the agent versus the hunt versus the hunted. Um, oh, I miss that. I miss it so fucking much, and they need to bring it back. Uh, they recently just did a Netflix series. They just did a Netflix series, so I hope that.
Well, aren't they working on something, but it just keeps going into disarray?
Yeah, it was. That's the problem. Like, it's like, yes, we got the next game, and then it got canceled. And okay, we're bringing it back, and it got canceled. And then, oh, we're working on something Splinter Cell, and people got excited. And then it was like a DLC for, I think it was like Ghostland, Bradlands, or one of the Breaking Point games. What was it? Ghost Recon games. He was like it was like a special DLC op, and you could, put on the goggles and everything. And it's like, but it was like, oh shit, that's it. That was the big, Splinter Cell thing. And then now they did the animated series, which again, I'm hoping brings it up. But yes, the latest we heard was about 4 years ago. They announced that a Splinter Cell remake was coming. They didn't clarify whether it's like a remake, an original remake, like an original take on it, or just like, hey, we're taking the first game and remaking it in modern era, kind of like, Call of Duty when they did Modern Warfare again.
I was just gonna say, but they keep knocking out Call of Duty without a problem.
I tell you, because you know what? Because it's such a rinse and repeat thing, and one thing I really loved about the Splinter Cell, like they really put time and attention into it. The story, the intrigue, it was one of the first like hide in the dark kind of games, where you were in the shadows. And I love how they kept reinventing themselves with like Double Agent and Blacklist and all this. They just so good, so good. They need a new one. Black Ops, what's that? Yeah, exactly. They just need to bring it back.
Well, somebody put out a couple days ago, the director for the Splinter Cell remake was fired, or they lost it, and supposedly there's like a job description posting out for the director in Toronto, being game director of Splinter Cell.
They need it, man. My note says in 2021, it was confirmed that a remake of Splinter Cell was entering the early stages of development. Given how vocal fans were about this, Ubisoft wasn't interested in letting fans beg for a new game for years until it was ready to be revealed. This meant announcing the game years before it would ever see the light of day. However, it's been almost 4 years to the day, and the only things we've seen about this Splinter Cell remake are concept art. No gameplay, no in-depth discussions about how the game is shaping up, not even a single screenshot or official piece of key art for the game. Total silence. I don't know. But in its defense, I feel like certain games, you need to let them cook. You need to let them do their thing. And if you're constantly giving like, oh, here's a little taste, here's a little snippet, here's a little thing, by the time it comes out, you're bored with it already. And it's like, I've seen all this and all that. So I kind of like, pun intended, being kept in the dark. And then it's like, are you ready? Because next year you're getting this. And then you're like, oh shit, and excited. Look at the Wolverine game. The Wolverine game, they've been talking about that development for, it feels like 7-8 years. Since like the first Spider-Man game came out, they were talking about it. And we've had 3 or 4 of them since then. and it still not comes out till next year. But only recently did we even see something about it.
What was it?
So,
What was it? Duke Nukem. They
oh my god,
what was it? Duke Nukem Forever or something
yeah,
like that.
Duke Nukem
They
Forever.
talked about it for like 12 years and then released dog shit. That
They had worked on it for like 20 years, and but that's the thing, you put out too much, and by the time it releases, Cyberpunk is another classic example of like overpromise and show all this cool shit. Oh my god, and then you release a fucking turd, man, and it's like, and then shocked. Oh my god, everybody's returning it. What? No way. So yeah, it is what it is. All right, we're gonna toss to a short break, and when we come back, my interview with the amazing Alan Roberts. You don't want to miss this. If you like the spooky stuff, if you like music, if you like art, if you like some wild and crazy stories, you're going to want to watch this interview. K-Mill, I want to thank you for joining us in the first hour. I'm going to sign you off, but anything you want to say to the audience before we let you out of here?
Hey, Halloween's this weekend. Be safe. Look at your kids' candy, and just have fun.
Yeah. What Prison Mike? What do you Prison Mike want to say anything to the people?
Just watch out for the Dementors. they will just ruin your whole day.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys, we'll be back with more right after this.
Hey, you there? Yeah, it is right, you. Let me ask you something, alright? Where the hell do you think that you're going? Oh, would you think because the show is going to commercial that means you get to just walk away? Well, CQ asked me to pass on the little message, alright? And it says, I'll be back.
In the shadows of the city bright, where heroes rise and take the fight, there's a voice that breaks the night. It's CQ with the insight. From the comics to the silver screens, talking legends and those crazy scenes, pop culture, dreams and hidden themes. CQ reveals what it all means. From the comics to the silver screens, talking legends and those crazy scenes, pop culture, dreams and hidden themes. CQ reveals what it all means. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charge so bright, we're ready for another flight. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charge so bright, we're ready for another flight. Marvel at the twists and turns, villains playing, heroes learn. Every episode we'll discern lessons from the past to learn. Games we play and books we read, CQ's list is what we need. Memories that make us bleed, together we will take the lead. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charge so bright, we're ready for another flight. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. With CQ leading the charge so bright, we're ready for another flight. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, another flight. Pop culture warrior here to ignite, guiding through the tales of light. CQ leading the charge so bright. We're ready for another flight.
Hi there. You're watching Pop Culture Warrior.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. I'm only on here to just kick it over to myself, introduce the upcoming interview. So please enjoy the interview with our friend, Alan Robert. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I am thrilled because tonight's guest is a man who truly lives at the crossroads of music and mayhem. He's the creator of the Beauty of Horror series, a twistingly beautiful coloring book phenomenon that's brought chills to art lovers everywhere. He's also the bassist and founding member of Life of Agony, celebrating 30 years of their landmark album, Ugly. Between ink and instruments, this guy's constantly pushing creative boundaries, whether it's horror art, music, or maybe his upcoming projects with NECA and even The Conjuring. So, without further ado, ghosts, goblins, ghouls. Please welcome the one, the only, Alan Robert, everybody. Yay! Master,
What's up?
You can hear the crowd going, rah!
Yes. It's just like riding the crowd at one of my shows.
There you go. There you go. Thank you for being here and doing this on our special, spooktacular Halloween-esque vibe episode, talking all things horror and honestly, I thought you were the perfect person to talk to. Our paths crossed at New York Comic Con. We weren't able to meet face to face, but you met with one of our other guys, and he raved and ranted about you and said, "This is the guy. We got to bring him on for the Halloween episode. We got to talk to him." So you come highly regarded. So lots to live up to,
Well, this is my favorite time of the year, obviously, for so many reasons. But yeah, we connected at New York Comic Con, Jake and I, and we had a great conversation. And that is an insane place. I don't know how many times you've been to New York Comic Con, but you fit that many people in that hall, and it is just bonkers. In fact, a few steps away from us, Post Malone just showed up, and the crowd swarmed around him for photos and autographs. So it was nuts.
It's insanity. People don't realize, like I've done San Diego Comic Con, I've done New York Comic Con. I think this year they broke an attendance record. It was like 250,000 or something like that plus.
Right.
So it was packed. It was packed. But you, first and foremost, I've got to ask you the same questions I ask every guest to start off our interview as we get to know more about you. What's your military connection?
I'm just a huge supporter. And both my grandfathers were in World War II. So, I have a deep tie to it and a deep love and admiration for everybody that serves. It's just an amazing thing.
That's incredible. You happen to know what branch, what job, anything like that?
My grandfather on my mom's side was in the Navy. Okay. And my grandfather on my dad's side was actually... He worked with the religious sect, and he sang, and he was more of a uplifting kind of figure in that part. Yeah,
like in the chaplain services and kind of stuff like that. Okay, right on. That's awesome. It was very much needed in those days. Very much needed.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the follow up is, what outside of your given profession? Obviously, you're an artist, you're a musician. What do you geek out about? Like, where's your pop culture love at?
Well, I was drawing way before I ever picked up a guitar, and so I think this will take you back. Do you remember those art contests on the back of the cereal boxes?
Oh yeah.
So I was the first kid in my neighborhood to win that. So I won the Atari 2600 from drawing like the Rice Krispie guys on the and Tony the Tiger. So like
Wow.
after that, I was like, this art thing's cool. I'm gonna stick with it, you know. And then Star Wars came out, and that was 1977. So I was 6 years old, and I saw that and it just blew my mind. In fact, I ran home to draw all the creatures from the cantina scene because, you know, it's not like you could, you know, pull up the movie at home in 1977. So I did my best to remember what, you know, all these characters look like, and I drew them to the best of my ability. And that's the way that I learned to express myself over time.
That's amazing. For the life, this is just my own self defense mechanism working. I was like, that's a scam. Nobody wins those things. Those aren't real. Nobody gets a prize. Look at
Well,
that.
they gave at least one away. We know that.
You've ruined me. You've ruined me. That was my only saving grace, was that I was like, yeah, nobody wins that. I wasn't. It's not that I was terrible at it. It's just nobody wins them. So you have spent decades balancing these kind of two huge creative lives, one on stage, one on the sketch pad. How do those worlds kind of feed into each other for you?
Well, it was kind of like an organic switch. Like I started out with the art, and I eventually I went to the School of Visual Arts for college, and somewhere in the college years, the band developed a following, and you know, I had full intention to like take my portfolio around once I graduated, and here it was, 1993. I was about to graduate, and the band got a record deal, and I said, you know, this music thing, I'll give it a shot. You know, the band will probably break up in 6 months, you know. And then here we are 35 years later. So the band, you know, became my full-time job basically for many years. And along the way, I drew all the band's t-shirts along with other bands' t-shirts and album art and all that stuff. So I used my art skills to help the band. And then, but the story that I came up with in college was a horror sci-fi graphic novel idea that I never got to really put myself into. Like I never really had the time to really flesh it out, and I never even felt confident enough in my own skills to draw it myself. I had commissioned a couple of artists that were working freelance for Marvel and DC, and they were like, we'll get to it, and then they never did. And then I got so fed up one day that I was just like, I'm just gonna draw it myself. And I did, and I was all set to self-publish it. It was 2009, and this was like the band had a little break, and I was going to self-publish this book. And I put a little animated teaser online, and IDW said, do you want to put it out with us? And IDW had 30 Days of Night at the time, which was this big horror vampire story. And that was my favorite book at the time. So I was like, yeah, let's do it, you know. And once they put it out, it was received really well. It actually won some awards for the cover art and everything like that. A best miniseries of that year award. And I refused to, you know, leave the company. I was like, here's another idea, and here's another idea, and here I am. I'm still working with IDW all these years later. Along the way, 2016, adult coloring books were popping up all over the place, and but they were all nature books or animals or just floral designs. And I was like, where's all the horror coloring books? None of them existed at that time. And just as kind of a spoof, almost making fun of it, I was like, I suggested to the publisher, I was like, what do you think about a horror coloring book? And they were like, yes, do it, you know? And so I drew it up and I said, how many pages does it need to be? And they said 88 pages. So I had this big task to fill a book full of horror designs that would work great for colorists. So I really got serious about it. I was like, if this is going to be the only horror coloring book, it's got to be badass, you know? So I started making my list: vampires, werewolves, zombies, mummies, all the gargoyles. And then about halfway through the book, I ran out of ideas. And I was like, I need something else, man. I can't just keep repeating myself. And I came up with this little ghoul girl named Ghouliana. And I gave her a backstory, and I started to really create a world around her. And it saved my book, and it actually allowed me to explore this whole other world that I had built, because the book came out and it was an instant success, and it allowed me to really dive deeper into Ghouliana's world and really flesh it out. It's been great.
Oh man, that's what a what a ride, man. Like
Yeah.
I just stumbled into a band, and I just stumbled into an art, but it just fell, and like, oh, I'm just great at everything I do. People must hate you. I'm just like
No, but I gotta say, it all came from like lack of confidence. Really, if I was so confident out of school, I would have just pursued that. But I was watching the kids around me just draw a perspective of New York City from all these angles, and I was like, I can't even draw a building. This is crazy, you know. It's not my thing. And so because I was so intimidated is really why it pushed me into the music. And the music that we grew up on was like punk and hardcore, and like you really didn't even know how to read music to play. You know, it was all about the attitude and the angst and the live shows. You know, in fact, I never even went for guitar lessons until the second album. So like, you know, I really did just kind of wing it, you know, but I loved it. And the bands around us, you know, they weren't really trained musicians. A lot of the trained musicians were in like the progressive rock bands and stuff like that, you know.
yes,
But
yeah.
we were down and dirty, man. We were playing hard.
It's this idea. It's this idea of it's the passion, right? It's you got to
Yeah.
love it. You know,
Yeah.
you're doing it as a lark. You know, as like you know, this is just what the youth is screaming about right now. You know, that's what we're gonna do.
Well,
Man,
you know, my favorite bands were the bands that played three chords in the song. You know, Ramones, Sex Pistols, all the hardcore bands. You know, Cro-Mags, Agnostic Front. You know, that's the stuff we grew up on. The Misfits. Misfits is like one of my favorite bands. They play the same three chords in every song.
hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I mean, shit. If it
Yeah.
works, it works. For the folks at home, describe maybe since again you're hard to classify into one kind of category, so describe a little bit of your musical style, but also kind of your artistic style.
Well, I know it sounds strange, but especially for being in like a heavy metal hardcore band, but one of the biggest influences that we had was Pink Floyd. And the reason being is that, especially on albums like The Final Cut and Pink Floyd The Wall, there was such a fragile emotional dynamic between Roger Waters' voice and the delicate sounds of a piano or a bass, and then it would become this big epic orchestra of instruments that would just give you these audio dynamics, and we always loved that, and that's what we tried to accomplish within our own genre in a way, and to have those highs and lows and those big moments that really just make your hair, you know, stand up.
Oh, and then artistically, give us an idea of your style artistically.
Well, I grew up on comic books. Books like The Punisher were one of my favorites. In fact, at the very first Comic Cons in New York City, they took place in a lobby of a hotel. And I would be, the little kid with the stack of books, and I would hound my favorite artists like Mike Zeck, who drew the Punisher Limited series and Captain America. I see your shield up there, and he drew GI Joe, and he was my favorite artist at the time, and he was always at these events, and I was so shy, but such a big fan. And I think he pitied me actually because he signed every one of my books. He was so generous with his time. He would sketch Spider-Man for me, and I would just keep coming back year after year, and then I would show him my work, and then eventually, that first book that I told you about, the wire hangers story that I wrote in college that finally came out through IDW. Uh, I approached him to write the forward to that graphic novel, and he did. So it was a big full circle, experience for me.
Wow, that's incredible. They say don't meet your heroes, but there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have the right heroes, it's worth meeting them.
Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing. When you, because I can't imagine. I'm a very analytical brain, and I'm not as creative as someone that artistic or has musical talent. So I would imagine, when you're switching kind of brains between music and visual art, is that the same creative muscle, or is it like scratching a different itch kind of thing?
Well, the art and the music for me are two different things entirely, just because I think of music as being so alive and so part of the chaos of a live show with lots of people, and the energy that brings. While the art is very much an isolated experience of me in my own head drawing for many, many hours alone. And so it's a different type of release of energy for me. It's also a different type of relationship with fans, because the live show is right in your face with fans screaming the lyrics back at you in this kind of intense atmosphere, while as the art stuff is, especially with the coloring books, it's kind of like a never-ending art project between myself and everyone that picks up a book, because every day, my phone's blowing up with, oh, someone tagged you in this piece of art and this one that they colored. And people all over the world, even in Ukraine, actually, I just got one today. Someone colored in a beautiful page from one of my earlier books. And it's just, it blows me away because you could have 10 different people get creative with a piece of art that I drew, and they look completely different from person to person to person. And even the mediums they use, some people, use watercolor or colored pencil or nail polish or sparkles. It really is up to the individual what their taste is and how they want to bring that piece of art to life.
Yeah. And I can imagine. So when you're making that coloring book, right, is part of it, you have to make it in a way that is open to people's interpretation of how this is going to look, right? Because I would assume, I have a lot of friends that are artists, and as they're drawing, there's this thought of like, oh, here's the shadows and here's the lighting and here's the thing. But when you're making a coloring book, a lot of that's open to interpretation. So do you have an idea in your mind of like when you're sketching it out and you're drawing it out, of where like you're like, this would be green or this would be brown, or do you just like really look at it as almost like this invisible man kind of like outline?
Well, two things. For one, I have no idea how to color, which is ironic for drawing all these coloring books, because it's really hard for me to color. It's hard to have a vision for it. When I colored my other graphic novels, because those are, full of, dark inks and shadows and all this stuff. And then when you draw a coloring book, it's one single line that creates the shapes. There's no shadows, there's no textures really. It's just a bunch of single weight lines. And so you do have to have, I kind of had to retrain my brain on how to draw a scene, because it does need to show depth and perspective in the page, but without using big black shadows, without using big, thick line weight for a character in the foreground. So it's really tricky to draw with simplicity. But if you look at the books, they're very intricate, and those intricate shapes give it the depth and the perspective.
No, yeah, I took a look at your work and I was blown away because I'm like, I don't even know how you come up with the idea. Like that's a whole separate conversation because some of these, man, I'm like, what is he thinking? No, but they're amazing. They're so cool.
Well, it's funny because IDW has been a great company to work with because they really give me free reign to do whatever the hell I want. And so after the first couple of Beauty of Horror books, I was like, well, where else can this series go? And every book started to develop its own theme. And I started to get really into horror parodies. And so, just like the old Mad magazines and stuff like that, I would take pop culture icons and transform them or mash them up with horror scenes that I would love, like, so I tackled everyone from famous artwork, from Van Gogh or Picasso, and then turn them into horror versions of that, using characters from horror movies that we all know, along with, album covers, dead celebrities. It goes on and on. There's seven of these books. And now the latest one is actually a storybook to color, which I wrote a whole backstory to Ghouliana and this whole adventure with all these monsters. And it's a completely different format than the rest of the series. And I really loved it because it allowed me to go back to my writing, where I started with the graphic novels, but in a different type of format.
Yeah, that's incredible to see it loved and grow. I'm curious because I know that there's some IP involved. I don't know if this is something from a business sense that you're involved in, but like, how do you decide what's the right company to work with? What's the right IP to utilize? I mean, how is it like kicking? Was it gotta bring him kicking and screaming, pulling teeth? What's the kind of the behind the scenes of that?
You're talking about like the other books, like Okay, so after the Beauty of Horror became such a success, other companies started to approach me and say, "Hey, how would you feel about drawing this book?" And I ended up drawing the Universal Monsters official coloring book, which is like a dream job for me because, I grew up on all those classic films. Classics. So I got to, for work, I had to watch the movies, Shocker, I have only seen them 50 times each. So I really had to like go in and do my homework and watch those old movies and pick the right scenes to draw. And all the classic monsters are in there. And then from there, they asked me to do the Beetlejuice official coloring book. And that's basically every scene from the first film. And I just completed the Conjuring Universe coloring book, which is, Annabelle and the Nun and all these characters from Crooked Man. And that was really a lot of fun because those movies are great.
I mean, if you could tell, 8-year-old yourself, yeah, you're going to be drawing, horror franchise movie coloring books. Like,
yeah,
like it's crazy.
Well, the coloring books we grew up on were like this newspaper print paper. And, I remember having like, I don't know, what was it? Like Looney Tunes or something, like that, big ass Bugs Bunny, and that was about it. We didn't have cool coloring books like this.
Yeah, I think the best one I ever had was maybe like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one. I think that was like the best. Which apparently when you don't have any colored masks, they all look the same. So that was fun.
You tell them apart by the weapons, and that's
exactly. That's why they had to have the letters on their belts. Did you ever? I'm just curious because again, working with like licensed IP, I know that, people could be very specific and very protective of their intellectual property. Did you ever get like a note on like drawing Annabelle or one of the Universal monsters where they're like, can you tweak, the bolts in the, Frankenstein monster or whatever? Like, you ever get any weird notes?
Not really notes about that, but it is a big deal, and a lot of people are involved, like at Warner Brothers or wherever, and the legal department is involved because there's a lot of issues a lot of times with these properties with likeness rights of certain actors that don't participate in that type of merchandise. So like if one specific actor, you're not allowed to draw their face. You have to kind of draw like a generic version of that character. But as far as all the monsters are concerned, that's free reign. I had a ball drawing them.
I can imagine. Switching gears again, I'm going to do this a lot back and forth because my brain is all over the place. And also just your career is all over the place. So I'm doing the best I can. It's a mess now in all the best ways. What's the vibe like revisiting Ugly, 30 years later? Has it taken on like a new meaning for you and the fans after all this time?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, half of the songs on that record we never ever played live, even once the record came out and we were touring for it, because a lot of times we were out supporting bigger acts, so you didn't have a lot of time in your set. And our first album, River Undread, was very popular at the time, so we would play just a handful of songs from Ugly. Songs like Lost at 22 or Other Side of the River. Those became like the staple in our set, and we were out supporting Ozzy Osbourne and Korn in arenas at that time. So I think we had maybe 30 minutes, a 35-minute set. And then we would play these big open air festivals in Europe in front of 100,000 people. And I don't think we even got 40 minutes on those sets. So like, we would play mostly River Undread material. So half the record never ever got played. And so part of doing this anniversary tour was learning the songs again. And because we never really, wrote music or anything, you had to go back, listen to it, and figure it out by ear. And how did I play that part again? And what's going on in this section? Like, in fact, we were so young when we wrote it that some of the notes in those songs like aren't really in the same key as the other parts, but somehow it worked and became a signature sound for those songs. So when we were figuring out the songs again, me and my guitar player were playing different notes, and we're like, are you sure that's the right note? And we would go back and listen to it, and the note that wasn't in the key was the correct note. And we were like, okay, that's the way it is on the record. That's the way we're going to play it.
Yeah, I can't imagine, with the depth of experience you've had since those were done. I mean, I would have likened it to an artist who's, you find someone like a Jim Lee and be like, hey, draw exactly like this first comic book you did, and it's gonna be like, oh no, I can't, like, because I've learned so much, I've gotten so much better. But if that's what was authentic to that time and that experience, is it weird at all? Like just trying to recapture that magic, that feeling. Does it feel alien to you to like this was a different person that did this music back then?
Well, it's very different in the sense that, first of all, we're playing the Ugly record from start to finish, and then we'll play some River Undread songs for as an encore type of thing. So the whole vibe of the Ugly record is very a different tone and different energy level than the River Undread stuff. In fact, when Ugly came out, a lot of fans were like, "Huh, well, I wonder why they changed up so much. Why did it go into this like depressive type of sludgy sound?" And that's who we were at the time. That's just the music that was coming out of us. So, if we were going to play a regular Life of Agony set, we would break up those moments of like bringing the audience down. But this is the whole record vibe, that it's a completely different experience for our fans. And we just finished the American run last month, and we're about to go to Europe this week. And the American run was so much fun. And so there's been a lot of like fan footage online that the European audience is just like loving it. Like half of those dates are sold out already, and one of the highlights for me, believe it or not, the last song on the album is Simple Minds cover, Don't You Forget About Me.
Okay.
And we do our version of that. It's a lot different than the original, but it just connects with the audience so well. Everyone knows that song, and this is just a unique take on it,
That's awesome. I can imagine that playing for an American audience versus playing for something like a European or another country's audience, it's somehow the same, but also very different. Can you maybe illustrate for those that haven't experienced it, how is it a little the same and how is it different?
Well, we've been going to Europe for 30 years or more, and one thing I could tell you is that the metal and hardcore and heavy music scene never died down. If anything, it got more popular over time. And where in the States, in the 80s, big metal bands were playing arenas, and then it died down for a lot of years, and grunge came, and there's been a lot of different types of music that got popular and then got a lot smaller, and nowadays, especially since COVID, a lot of the smaller clubs in the States couldn't stay open after the pandemic. So it's harder for smaller bands to play because there's just nowhere to go. You have these big stadium tours coming through. You have big theater tours coming through. They already have packages together of bands that play together, and it's really harder to get little bands to develop scenes in cities because it's just the pandemic kind of killed a lot of these clubs.
Yeah. Again, switching gears back I want to talk a little bit more about the beauty of horror. It has become this very cult hit. We touched on it a little bit, but I really want to get an idea for what like originally inspired you to take horror and make it something and really cross it with something that's quite meditative, right? Like coloring books are very calming and peaceful, and I mean they just seem so opposed to each other. What was the inspiration behind it?
Just being a horror fan, and like I said, it was kind of a spoof on adult coloring. It's not something. Adult coloring books weren't something that I was so into. It just happened. I was coming home from rehearsal. It was a rainy day. My wife and daughter were coloring in one of these beautiful coloring books, like underwater scenes or something like that. Fish. I think it was a lot of fish. And they were like, "Come color with us, Dad." And and I was like, "Yeah, this is cool, but like, what? I don't really want to color fish." And my wife said to me, "Well, you should draw your own page." And so I did. But it was April Fool's Day was coming. I think it was the day before. And I was like, I'm going to draw the most disgusting page for a coloring book right now. And I drew CBGB's bathroom. And if you ever been to CBGB's, There's not even a door on the stall in CBGB's bathroom. And, I drew all the stains and overflowing sinks, and it was just nasty. And I posted it for April Fools. I said, here's my adult coloring book page, everybody. And it got downloaded like 400 times, and people were coloring in lots of browns and greens, and it was disgusting. And they were posting it up, and it was a lot of fun for me, to have that type of interaction with fans. And you don't really get that with the graphic novels. I could be in this office drawing for a year, put it out, and then you might meet a handful of people at New York Comic Con that love it. But with the coloring books, it's constant interaction with fans all day long, because people are coloring on their own time, posting them up, tagging me in it. I'm responding, and it just keeps going and going and going. It's a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun for me to see what they do with it.
That's such a unique and cool way. It again just showing the difference in that, like, I had the same thing. I've sat down with my son coloring, and even was like, you know what? It's a dinosaur, but there's a missile coming in. And he's gonna blow up, and his leg. And I get the dad stop. But that's so cool to take such an inspiration and be able to turn it into something that so many people have loved. And horror fans can be very intense about details. So have you kind of developed, I don't know, like a secret sauce for, how do you make something that's horror, but that connects with the audience so deeply?
Well, it says on the very first book, on the back of it, it says art therapy for the abnormal. So I think there's a legion of twisted people just like myself that enjoy this type of thing. In fact, since the beauty of horror got so popular, there are a ton of horror coloring books out there now. Some of them are great, some of them are ripoffs. Some of them, are AI generated. They're just everywhere. So, it was a lot of fun to be at the forefront of the movement, if you want to call it that. But I just enjoy staying in my lane, doing what I do. And, the licensed properties help break up, getting into a rut of what am I going to draw next with beauty of horror.
Right.
It gives me a chance to like dive into someone else's world for a little bit and miss my stuff. Like I want to get back there. What's Ghouliana up to?
Yeah, so it's a palate cleanser, if you will, right?
Yeah.
It gives you a break. And speaking of Ghouliana, I mean, she's getting the full action figure treatment with NECA.
Yes.
That's like gotta be mind blowing to say, like, this thing that was birthed from my brain is now gonna be this physical thing that people can own. How did the collaboration come about? And then what is it like seeing this made real?
Well, first of all, I grew up on action figures, and that was my go-to hobby playtime as a kid. And it actually, I had all the Star Wars figures. I had all the G.I. Joe figures, some of them in duplicate. I was, obsessed with having a real army of stormtroopers, you know what I mean? And, I remember the moment that I was too old to play with them because I was playing on my stairs, doing all the voices, and then I heard myself making the voices of the character. I was like, what the hell am I doing? I threw them down, put them in a box, never looked at them again. And I just outgrew them at that moment. And but to have my own action figure for this character is just, it's beyond a dream come true. It really is. We had a smaller Ghouliana from the NECA Toonie Terror series. It was about a 6-inch figure, and it wasn't fully posable. It was more like a figurine, but it came out with every series that they put out like 5 different characters. So she was in good company. She had Teen Wolf, the character from They Live, the John Carpenter film, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So like she was right in there with them.
Icons,
Yeah.
man. Woo.
So that was really cool. And then, you know, the dream was to really give her the full treatment with like a material dress, and she comes with a glow in the dark skeleton dog, and the packaging's just dynamite. It's really something else.
How much do you get to be included in the process, right? From early designs to, you know, I know they do like prefab work and prototypes and things like that. How included are you, or is it more just kind of like I'll see it when it's done kind of thing?
No, every step of the way. In fact, I designed the packaging for the box. I have one here. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah, that wow, gorgeous, gorgeous.
Yeah, so it's a labor of love, you know. It really is something amazing, and they come like this, you know, just the two figures, and then there's also like a bundle that comes with an actual limited edition coloring book, which is super cool.
That's awesome. Hey, what a way to tie it together, man. It's so uniquely you. All it needs is an album pressed in there as well, and then boom, we've got the whole package, like your brain in a box.
Yes.
I know there's some other things that you've got kind of coming up. I got wind of of a psychological thriller adaptation of Crawl to Me that's in the works. I mean, can we talk about it a little bit? What can you tell us about that?
Well, that project's been kicking around for a while now, probably a decade. It started out as a graphic novel, a horror graphic novel. It really developed a cult audience, and a couple of different producers had optioned the story to make it into a live action feature film over the years, and it changed hands a few times, and I finally got the rights back, and me and my buddy Chris White made a trailer for it in the vision from the storyboards, and it really brought those panels to life that we've never seen before in all these different iterations. So it's something really exciting, and we're talking to a bunch of different directors now. So baby steps, but it is an exciting thing to see happen.
Man, to get to dip a toe in your world, I tell you, you are constantly expanding the universe. I think we've painted a pretty good picture of it, but art books, music, collectibles. How do you decide what's the next project? How do you decide where to put your energy? Because I'm like, I can barely keep up just reading about you, what you got going on. How do you decide?
A lot of it's just organic, you know, and just follow my gut, you know, like just to give you an example, like I was at a concert. I brought my wife to a concert for her birthday, and a friend of mine brought us backstage and introduced us to some of the crew behind the scenes. And it turned out that the bass tech turned out to be also Geezer Butler's bass tech from Black Sabbath. And we had toured with Ozzy, and Geezer Butler had played with Ozzy on that tour. And actually, Geezer Butler's solo band opened up for Life of Agony in the 90s. So we had that connection. And my friend Terry Welty, the bass tech, is the guy that designed Geezer Butler's amps and EMG pickups for his basses. Now, I have those pickups in every single one of my basses. I love them. And I'll even take vintage pickups out and put those babies in because they sound so good. So when I got to meet him, I was blown away. I was like, I'm not worthy. I have all your stuff. I went total fanboy on him. And he sent me a custom fuzz pedal for bass that blew me away. And I was like, what are you doing with this? It sounds amazing. And he's like, I just make them for friends, you know, this and that. I said, would you want to collaborate and make like a signature fuzz pedal for bass? Because I'll use it every day. And he said, yeah. So we started working on that. And that's going to come out sometime next year.
Wow, Jesus, man, a little bit of everything. I love it. And I'm going to leave the door open for you. Any other spooky collaborations, any other products, anything that you could tease for fans that might be watching and want to know what's coming?
I wish I could talk about it more, but there are a lot of things happening for Beauty of Horror behind the scenes with a lot of interesting people that are great to work with, that have big ideas of their own. So, like, I think Ghouliana's world is going to get a lot bigger pretty soon.
Nice. I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Man, and this time, our time is just blowing through. I'm having such a great time. A few more questions for you. You've spoken about the power of horror illustration and how art can actually help people unplug and reset their nervous systems. I find that really fascinating. And I know, as a vet and a lot of PTSD and TBIs and these things, can you talk a little bit about how horror art, how you find it so calming instead of stressful? Like maybe tease the folks of why they should give it a shot.
Well, I think horror movies too are, in general, can be a cathartic experience because you release all this energy and it builds up the tension and the suspense, and then it has a release. I think that also carries through with coloring in these books. That let's face it, it's not all horror and gore. There's a lot of humor in the pages, and I think it's that mixture that makes them different than other traditional horror coloring books that are coming out now. There's a lot of humor in there. There's a lot of parodies involved. It's a kind of like a mashup of my favorite things, and I think a lot of other people can appreciate that because even the horror movies we grew up on have a lot of comedy in them. Think of like movies like Evil Dead 2 or Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, or even Freddy got kind of goofy along the way. With the one-liners and stuff. So
Jason was slapstick by the end, man. That thing was just straight up Three Stooges by the end of it. The way
I think there's like a dark comedy element to all this stuff that makes me smile and makes a lot of other people smile. I think it's not all first of all, you're dealing with line work. There's no shadows involved. It's up to you to make the shadows if you see it that way. But a lot of people don't really approach the pages in a traditional gothic type of horror vibe. They bring in all sorts of colors into these things that actually brighten up the pages and give it a different twist than you would expect for a horror coloring book.
That's awesome. All right. As we wind down here, I love to kind of wrap up rapid fire, random questions for you. Let's go. Favorite horror movie of all time?
The Shining, without a doubt.
And what is it that speaks to you about that movie? Like, what is it that captures you?
Stanley Kubrick's direction, Jack Nicholson's faces, some of the lines I still quote in regular conversations till this day. He learned it on the television, like things like that I say all the time. And I'm sure that Ghouliana was inspired by those twins. She's got the same blue dress. Yes. She's got bat wings, but, the blue dress carries over from The Shining for sure.
There's a little homage happening. Dream musician or artist that you would have loved to collaborate, or you would have loved to collaborate, so dead or alive. Dream musician or artist? Tough journalism here. That's the tough stuff.
Well, I love Paul McCartney's songwriting. I was in a bass magazine. I had an interview in a bass magazine a few years back, and he was on the cover, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, I could retire now.
We've basically hung out, is what you're saying. We've basically hung out.
He's right there.
What is scarier to you, a bad gig or a blank page?
Oh, a blank page for sure. That's always, I go through the same, maybe it is some kind of PTSD because I go through this every time I start a book. I have this intense feeling like there's no way I could fill up all these pages. And I really, I psych myself out. And it takes weeks to like build up that confidence again. Like, okay, this has come along okay. I could see my way to the end. But to start any book is always that same overwhelming feeling like I've never done this before.
I love that. One piece of advice for young artists trying to find their creative voice.
Don't do it for the money. As simple as that. If it's any good, if you make those right connections, if it comes out at the right time, you might find the right audience and you might get some money down the line, but don't make that the goal because you'll end up making a lot of compromises along the way that will hurt your art. And you just got to be true to your own vision. And not everyone has that luxury because a lot of times you're drawing stories or characters that don't belong to you in order to find your way in the art industry. But if you do have a vision, do it in your spare time. It may take longer, but it will be the most pure.
I love that. I'd say people ask me about podcasting all the time. I'm like, yeah, don't do it for the money. That's for sure. It can happen. Not very likely.
Yeah, it's a long shot. And I know a lot of artists that work for big companies that are miserable because they're good at what they do, but it's a grind. Just like it becomes a grind like everything else.
It's not the love. It's not for the love of the game. Last one for you, and I feel like you're the only one that can answer this. If Ghouliana came to life today, what's the first thing she's doing?
She's causing some kind of mayhem because that's her deal, man. She's just a mischievous little girl that just wants to see things fall apart, And the thing about Ghouliana is that she doesn't speak. She has intentions. And so that to me is a little bit even scarier, it's those quiet ones you got to watch out for.
That's right. Awesome. Real quick, let's plug social media. Where can people follow you? Where can people keep up to date? How can people support? Give us the rundown.
All my stuff is up on my website, which is alanrobert.com. But if you want to dig a little deeper, there's always thebeautyofhorror.com or the band is lifeofagony.com. And I'm on all the social medias, so with some variation of 666 in the username.
No relation. That's just what they auto-generated. I got to thank you so much for taking this time to sit down with us. We didn't have nearly enough time to really dive deep just because I try to find kind of a path to follow through a person's kind of discography or back catalog, if you will. And I'm like, your stuff is all over the place, man.
Yeah, it's a big mess.
But I love it. To me, that screams, I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to follow my gut, my creative instinct. Some people, they stay on that trajectory or that one path, and you, my friend, are a Ouija board of just all over the place. And I love it. I love so much of what you do. I'm probably going to order a few of the coloring books for myself just because I think it's such a genius idea. Like to have something for as my kid's sitting there drawing his Paw Patrol or whatever, I'm going to be over here like, here's, the werewolf eating the zombie, so this is awesome. And I hope all the fans out there follow you, like your stuff, go out and purchase it. Best of luck to you on your European tour, man. I can't wait to see all the craziness you guys get up to, and hopefully you'll come back and tell us some wild stories, huh?
I would love to. Thanks so much.
Awesome. I'm going to give you the last minute here to say goodbye to our audience who's watching faithfully and wants to support you, and just go ahead. You go ahead. Take us to the break.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for listening, hanging out with us, especially the service men and women. Completely indebted to you, and you have my utmost respect.
Outstanding. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the amazing Alan Robert, Beauty of Heart. I can't run through the list of all the things: music, art, foot pedals, toys. He
But
done
most
it all.
important, the most important, the guy that won the Atari.
The guy that won the Atari, that one Atari you never got as a kid, he was the one that got it. Burn him. No. Burn him at the stake. He's a witch. But thank you to my guest. Guys, we'll be back with more show right after this. Say goodbye.
See you later.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just gotta remember to unmute. Gotta love it. It's been a night. There you have it. My interview with Alan Robert. Absolutely phenomenal dude. Love him so much. We literally spoke for about 20 minutes or so after the recording, and we were just chit-chatting, shooting the shit, and just the nicest guy, really cool guy, and actually offered to send us some of the adult coloring books so that we can give out as little giveaway stuff. So very cool dude. Really glad got to hang out and chat with him, and our paths crossed at New York Comic Con, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again. So he's out now in Europe, gearing up for his European tour, and we wish him all the best. But awesome dude. I want to thank, as always, you guys for tuning in. My co-host for the evening, Kay Mill. You might see more of him from time to time. My guest, Alan Robert. And real quick, let's toss it to... Oop, that was not the right button. Whoops. Let's show... Oh, no. Stop it. Stop doing that. All right. Let's try it this way. There we go. We got it's been a night, man. We got lots of programming throughout the week, and we are happy to be bringing it to you live. Starting the week Monday nights, The King and Me, one of our newest shows here on WTF Nation Radio with King and his lady Michelle, and they are just a phenomenal couple talking about relationships and dating and marriage and just all of kind of relationship talk. It's really great. I highly implore you, 7 p.m. Eastern, Monday nights, check it out. They're a phenomenal couple, and real talk, and it's something we're so proud of here at the station. Followed by 8 p.m. Monday edition. It's our flagship show. You know, Monday edition. Tuesday nights here on Pop Culture Warrior. Wednesdays is our second doubleheader of the week with Sports Bar at 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Smoke Pit somewhere between 11 and 12, 10, somewhere. Radar's dialing it in. God bless him. He's dialing it in. Thursdays is Sergeant's Time. Again, another flagship show. You guys know it. You love it. You're here for it. Friday, every other Friday is FTX, our Friday night tabletop exercise, and Saturday nights is weekend co-ops. We are so thrilled because we have more shows coming soon. We can talk about Trailhead Ops, which will be navigating its way to our airways starting in November. We're also looking at launching the Reset. I'm gonna leave that there and just kind of tease that, and then we have something else cooking. We have something else cooking that'll be launching in January. Do I want to tease what it is yet? We'll just say the initials are C and C. That's it. We're gonna tease that out a little bit. I'm gonna drum up some buzz around it. So CNC coming in January, the Trailhead Ops and the Reset coming much sooner. So stay tuned. Very excited. You've seen for Trailhead Ops, you've probably seen already some teasers posted on WTF Nation Radio, social medias and whatnots. It's out there. You can go find it. But the show will be coming soon, and then the Reset is more under wraps at the moment. We'll be talking more about it as it starts coming to fruition. But I, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Yes, Captain Wayne Allen Roberts is awesome, phenomenal dude, and we got lots more really cool interviews coming soon. Let's check the calendar. Let me check the calendar, see what's locked in, what's dialed in. Next week, nothing currently. But on the 11th, we've got Christopher Randolph, Veterans Day. Christopher Randolph, join us. He is the voice of Otacon in the Metal Gear Solid series. Fucking awesome dude. Really awesome dude. You guys are going to love him. I got to hang out with him while I was at New York Comic Con, and every time I've gone to MGS Con, we've hung out, and just a really fun, solid dude. And then November 18th, we've got Heather Haley, who's another voice actress who's done just an absorbent amount of roles. So she's been in just about everything. But I think our paths crossed at MGS Con while she was promoting stuff for Metal Gear. But yeah, I'm so excited because we've got so many cool interviews coming, products coming. FTX has some really cool stuff in the works with Wizards of the Coast, with Dungeons and Dragons, with Magic, a couple of other smaller companies that are going to be sending us some prototypes for games. So very excited for that. Weekend Co-ops has some really cool stuff coming soon, games that aren't even announced yet that we're going to be getting to try out. And yeah, man, we got just really cool stuff coming down the pipe, and just in time for the holiday season. We're actually working on, me and some of the guys want to do kind of like and you guys can tell me if this is something you'd be interested in, kind of like a holiday gift buyer's guide for the holiday season. Just some cool stuff we've seen, we've interacted with, we've tried out. You know, I have the WoW Cube, I have the Xbox Rogue Ally, and just a couple of other really cool toys, games, things like that. So if that's something of interest to you guys, we can definitely put something like that together. And who knows, maybe give away some stuff. We're coming up on the season of giving. And you know me, if there's one thing I love, it's giving. And I have a lot to give. So we've got to figure that out, because there's an entire, like, you off camera, you can't even see, just piles and piles of stuff. Yeah, my goal is this holiday season to get rid of all of it. So, boxes for everyone. So stay tuned for that. Consider checking us out on Patreon and supporting the Patreon. I'm honestly, I've got to figure out something to do with that Patreon, because man, you guys are the best for hanging in there and supporting it. I've got to figure out some type of exclusive stuff to do or give, or something, or I'm gonna force myself to shut it down because I don't think it's fair for people who want to support the. I mean, they want to support the channel regardless, but I always like to give back and to say, thank you for, because that money helps when we do coverage cons and things. I can afford to eat, and some of us ain't doing so well in the shutdown, but anyway, thank you guys as always for hanging out, for shooting the shit with us. It's been a blast. You guys are awesome, and already looking forward to the next time we can all get together and have this chat. And appreciate you. All right. With that, signing off. See you guys next week. Shots.
Let's see it.